Everything from moving air conditioners up 3 flights of stairs, Shane, paperback books and letters to service people overseas, painting rocks, murals, baking bread, putting bags of food together for kids, cleaning areas behind our school where there are bears, by the way, so don't hang out there. And so many other things that you did today. So thank you for all your service. And in continuing to think about our founders today, you hear the word charism sometimes. The charism of the sisters, they would describe it as a unioning love, bringing people together, choosing to see the best in each other, choosing to be with each other, recognizing that we are kin, that kinship that brings us together, where no one's left out. There's no us and them, it's only we. That's what the sisters have passed on to us. And we know that where there's unioning love, wherever there's love, there is God. So that's what today has been about thus far. And we're in the home stretch now to bring it down. Honoring our founders because we truly believe that what they have left us, and as President Hayes said, what we need to live into the future is what the world desperately needs today. It's what we need in our campus, it's what we need in our world. Patience, peace, trust, forgiveness, celebration, joy, and truth. So I want to now get out of the way, and I am going to introduce the first introducer. I'm going to introduce a great grad student, someone who I love to work with, who is going to introduce our keynote speaker, Regis's very own, Center for Inclusive Excellence very own, Danye Strickland.
Oh, let me get these off. My bad. How's it going, everybody? As Dan said, I'm Danye Strickland, grad intern for Center for Inclusive Excellence. Shout out Ellen, Madeline, and Michael. All right, so Founders Day to me has always been one of the most meaningful days for our school, where we come together and offer service to other communities to uphold the core values that this school was built upon. However, selfishly, today is by far my favorite experience with Founders Day, as I have the pleasure to introduce our guest speaker, who in fact has been a mentor of mine for about the past decade, getting old. Mario lives by the quote, "You can try to save them all. You can't save them all, but you can try," which explains the great work he has done with the youth that has led to national awards. Without further ado, we have the only Laker/Kobe fan that I tolerate, Mario Lamarre.
Wild, man. Thank you for having me today, Regis. I wrote things up, I was ready to look up and down, then I said this wouldn't be really authentic if I didn't really focus on actually giving you, me basically being vulnerable and giving you like my true self and how I got here. I didn't think I was gonna work with kids. I didn't think I was looking to change lives. When I was growing up, I grew up in the projects. My main goal was to get out of it. And of course, like majority of us, be basketball players as well as athletes so we can come back and help our family. That was my goal. A lot of times growing up when I was younger, I was really athletic. I participated in a lot of different things throughout Boston, outside of Boston, and I thought I was programmed to think that sports was the only thing that I'm gonna be good at. I played for high-level basketball throughout big teams that were only 2 teams representing the whole state of Massachusetts, to junior high, to high school at Boston Trinity, to other things after that. And in college, unfortunately, things didn't work out, and it was my fault. And what I mean by that is, first thing you always have to do is take responsibility. A lot of times I tried to avoid that with my charisma and other things like that, and I was like, nah, that's not my fault. But when it really came down to it, I looked back and I seen at different points in my life, which I'm gonna explain to you guys, it kept me from being the best version of myself. And that's okay. I don't use that as an excuse. I only use it as growth. And it started actually in 2nd grade, and you can probably laugh about this. So in 2nd grade at St. Kevin's on Columbia Road, they had lunch monitors who were 8th graders, and I was in 2nd grade. Of course, 2nd grade, I was like, I got a little crush right now with this girl. She keeps smiling at me. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, this is what's up. Let's do this. The first thing you do is, what can a 2nd grader give a girl? chips. So I was just like this, yo, nobody got these Doritos yet. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to pass her the Doritos and stuff. She's giggling. I'm like, oh yeah, I got her. There was one day, a new person came, and he's one of my best friends now. And me and him always laugh about this story. And he was a foster kid, and he came to our school. And all the girls are looking at him. He had his ponytail. Everybody was calling him Rico Suave. I was like, what is that? And I was just like, okay. But he basically was like, everybody was looking at him. And second grade, which is crazy. We end up having a lunchtime, and the monitors are walking around. And I remember Justin taking a piece of paper, and he was like writing swears and things on the piece of paper. And it got to the girl, Jessica, and she's like giggling, smiling, looking at Justin, doing this weird thing with her hair. I'm like, I'm like, okay, that works. So what did I do? I started writing on a piece of paper as well to pass it along, and I wasn't the best speller as a second grader. So basically what happened is like the kids are passing it around, and I'm like over here waiting. I'm waiting for her to get to her, and I'm like, yeah, she gonna like this, she gonna like this. I definitely spelled the B word and the F word completely wrong. But what ended up happening is one of the kids like passed it this high, the lunch monitor looks and says, she's trying to figure out what it says, and I'm just like, she's not gonna figure that out. And then she did, and basically I was called out. And I was like, okay, and she brings me to the office and says, we're gonna call your mother. I was like, no. I'm not scared of nothing. I was like, do not call my mother. I'm gonna die. Like I told her straight, I was like, I'm not coming back. She was like, they're not gonna do that. She can't do that. I'm like, Sister Paula, she gonna kill me. I'm like, you don't understand, this is different. So what ends up happening is she leaves me in the office, and back in the day, you had to actually fax something. So you had to fax like stuff. It wasn't like all the stuff that we have access to now. And she basically called the school and was like, pass him the phone. And I could hear, and I'm just sitting there like, I don't want it. So I keep pushing the phone away like, I don't want it, I don't want it. She gives me the phone. She's like, when you get home, we're gonna talk. I was like, are we gonna really talk? She says, give the person the phone back. I said, boom, put my head down. Now I start trying to get the tears out, get sad. I'm like, she said, go back to the classroom. I said, okay. I go to the classroom, and I start hugging all the second graders. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna come back, I'm gone. And they're just hugging everybody. So the teacher, Miss Brady, brings me back to the office like, he's scared, like something's about to happen. So they call her back and was like, I hope you're not gonna touch Mario and da-da-da. And I'm like, yeah, tell her. And then my mother was like, what'd you say? She's like, if I wanna touch him or anybody else, I'm gonna touch anybody else in my way. I was just like, told you. I remember just looking at her, and then she looked like scared looking at the phone. She's like, please, Miss Brignall, please. And she's like, I'll talk to you later, bye. And hangs up the phone. Now this lady turns around with this face. And I'm like, if you look like that, imagine what's about to happen to me. So. But that was the first time that my mother actually didn't like, she was like, she didn't want to deal with it. She didn't touch me. She gave me a talk. But I'm only saying this to you because at that point, I thought I was a leader because all the kids were following me and all this other things like that. But I realized that I was a follower because I was looking for attention from that girl. And that's just symbolic of life because each time there was a different chapter of those things kind of happening. What I want you guys to understand is that there's different versions of followers. Like when you're actually seeing people who worked hard to be in front of you as a professor or as a coach or things like that, they have a background in that. And it's best to actually intake that and be a sponge because that's gonna be the best version of that information that you could receive. And I didn't think that. High school, I didn't think that. I was a little cocky. In the streets, when I unfortunately was doing those things when I was younger, I was getting encouraged by friends and family members, and there had to be a separation from there as well. And that was a very tough separation because I'm a very loyal person, and I was taught what loyalty was being ready to, just because the street I was born on, I had to die for that street, which kind of didn't make any sense, but I was young, I was dumb, I was like, hey, let's try it out. One thing that made me really happy is that when I graduated school, Trinity accepted me, and I was looking at Trinity like in Newton, Massachusetts, I was like, no. I was like, can I go to another school? They're like, nope, you're going there for basketball. I was like, so I ended up going to Newton, and I'm walking around, and it's like kids I've never seen before, and I'm like, I just came from Columbia Road, and it's just like two different environments. And I started connecting with people. I was like, like, what do you want from me type of thing. I just want to come play basketball, everybody leave me alone. And thank God I didn't act like that for too long. I started being more open-minded to learn from these individuals. And they taught me a different hunger that every time I went back to the projects, every time I went back to the hood, everybody was looking at me like I was crazy. And I was like, we need to start thinking in this mindset. So like I said, a lot of people started looking at me like I was crazy. Like, no, let's just do what we are used to doing and things like that. And I was like, man, I need to grow. I can't do this. So that caused a separation between my family, me, and nobody knew where I was. Nobody knew who I was hanging out with. I just started trying to find a different atmosphere. And the main reason why I was trying to do that is because that's growth. If you choose to feel comfortable and only stay in a circle that you're accustomed to, then everybody in that circle can only reach a certain potential. That's why you're in the circle. My goal was, when I got older, it got to be other circles that can be created, because the circle that we're in, it got created somehow. Who decided to close it? And that's why I wanted to break through that circle and create more circles. I had to do community service hours in order to graduate Trinity, and they told me, yeah, you gotta do 200 hours. I was like, okay. Unfortunately, a lot of places in Boston did not wanna let me do it because of certain situations in the past. So I was ready to give up. I was always smart. One thing I did with school is I just wanted to get it over with, so I focused on school a lot in the classroom, and then everything else after that was different. But basically, I ended up going to Trinity, senior year. They wanted me to do 200 hours, and an individual named Jay Miller, he passed away from cancer, but he found me. And I would take the bus from Ashmont and go all the way to Brockton, and wouldn't get back home till like midnight every single night because I still lived in Boston. And Jay Miller was in charge of the Boys and Girls Club, and he allowed me to do my community service hours there, and I was kind of like miserable because I was like, look at me, I looked really young at a certain age, and that made a lot of things difficult because certain people felt like they could challenge me, and that wasn't happening. So when I was at that Boys and Girls Club, you had a bunch of like 17, 18-year-olds, and they thought they were this gang and that gang, and I'm over here laughing like, you have no idea. And I was just like this, looking at them, but I had to be mentally strong to not do what I wanted to do, and I had to find another outlet because I started liking that environment. I started liking having the responsibility of young kids and seeing that when I walked in a room, they were excited and they wanted to learn something new about themselves. So what do you call it now, like taking an L? I felt like I took a mental L, but like I said it was worth it. Let's see where this goes, because I definitely never wanted to work with kids, ever. I was like, no, I'm all set. I grew in a house with 6 women, and I was like, every time I get out that house, I was trying to get out that house, because I couldn't understand what they were talking about. But what ended up taking place is I finished the hours, I did 450 hours, and Jay Miller was like, this guy doesn't want to go home. And one day he pulls me aside with board members and were like, we're gonna give you a job. I was like, oh, okay, cool, no problem. I think I was working at FYE at that time, and that's like, FYE is like back in the day stuff. It's like, dang, what's FYE like? Best Buy. The FYE was like Best Buy. It was like a record store, Starberries and things like that. And what ended up taking place was I took the job and I started that summer, and the rest is history. I started realizing, seeing the pain that a lot of kids were going through weren't exactly like my pain, but it was similar. And when I started seeing that they didn't have anybody to really back them or a strong mentor to say, I'm not gonna stay in this position, I'm gonna find another one, I started saying, just because I could do it doesn't necessarily mean other kids could do it. So then I got really passionate about assisting kids as well as just people in general. So then that's when I got like a 360 turn. So when Kobe became the Black Mamba and the only thing was winning, my intake was I wanted to be the Black Mamba, but working with kids. I told myself like in 2007, I was working with kids for a couple of years at that time, and I said, no one will be better than me at working with kids. Not in this country, not anywhere. And then people thought I was crazy. They're like, what are you talking about? You work with kids, you don't get a lot of money. I was like, I don't care. It's not about that. It's a mentality thing. I need to be the best. So what ended up happening was I was doing things where I was working till 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, midnight men's leagues. Grown men are looking at me and taking direction from me because I'm doing things for them that are completely free. And they're like, who is this dude? Who's this kid? Who's this kid? And we got closer because they seen that I was selfless. I never asked them for anything. I just said, hey, this is a father's league. Be a good father. Make sure you're in your kid's life. Walk through that gym. I'll leave it open till 2 o'clock in the morning. I'll just figure out what I'm going to do the rest of my life after. But the goal was to build relationships with people in different ways, to show them that I wasn't joking around, I wasn't messing around, I wasn't conning them. I wanted to build a connection with them that was authentic. When I speak to different people and I connect with other people, that's not the same person I was speaking to 20 minutes ago. And I feel like we get accustomed to who we are, and everybody should just accept it. And that's not the realistic case in the real world. You have to be able to adapt. You have to be able to choose what circle is actually basically complementing what you want to do and who you are. I'm not taking anything away from family members and friends and other things like that. Oh, I knew them since we took showers in the tubs together, all this other stuff. That's just becoming an excuse that I didn't feel I could stomach. And that's why I started going back to neighborhoods and inner cities, and I was speaking to people and even celebrities, kids, and other things like that. And I was being honest with them, like, the money don't mean anything, because at the end of the day, you just have more of a head start to make a bad decision, and daddy or mommy's gonna bail you out or things like that. I started trying to make them connect where they came from 2 different forms of life and show them that we do have similarities when it comes to action. So I started taking this thing serious. I became the athletic director. I was the youngest athletic director in the state of Massachusetts for Boys and Girls Club. I was 20 years old, and I started moving up on the ranks. At that nonprofit, I had every single position for my 15 years working there. Team director, program director, intern, executive director. When they gave me that role, I had no idea what I was doing. But they just knew all the parents when they complained to me. So they were like, this, make Mario have that position until we hire somebody else. I'm like, okay, good luck. It was just like, it was very interesting. The administrative side was very interesting because I was really young at that time. But I took on the challenges, and the reason why I took the challenges on was because I believed that I could make the situation for that person, the party that's involved, better. And a lot of people don't do that. They just do just enough unless it's something that you really, really want. And then you put your head down and you focus to go get it. I'm like that with everything. If me and you have a conversation and you tell me you want to get here, I'm going to do everything in my power to make you get there. And you're going to wonder why. It has nothing necessarily to do with you. It's just that when you delivered what you wanted to me, I seen it in your eyes that you really wanted that. And a lot of people are so accustomed to telling them, oh, this can't happen or you can't get this, especially where we come from. And I was like, anybody that encounters me and they need help with something, I'm not gonna half-ass it. And I apologize if I'm swearing, but I'm being honest. I have to be better than everyone else or I'm not gonna accept that challenge. And there's plenty of other challenges in the world, but I love challenges. So a lot of times I started helping people create careers, jobs, entrepreneurship, and they always try to give me money. He'll vouch for me, Donnie will vouch for me, I never accepted money. It was never about money for me. I'll be fine with money. It was never about money. The goal was to make sure that they knew somebody at Energy was there to assist them when they needed it. When even if somebody else said, I didn't have the money in my pocket today, I didn't have this, if you know me and you're around me, I can never be that person. I'm ready to leave it all on the line for anyone who shows me that they really want to get something done or achieve something. When I made that decision, I called myself crazy, because a lot of people don't think that way because you take away from yourself. And selflessness was a tough thing that I had to find balance with. I have two beautiful kids now, an 8-year-old and a 2-year-old. And sometimes being so good working with kids for over 20 years, I had to ask myself, am I being a bad father? Because what I was doing for these kids in this community, in Boston, other places, LA, East St. Louis, other things like that, I said to myself, I don't see my kids. I live in the same house as them. I do everything the father's supposed to do, but I was so busy that seeing these kids who were foster kids or parents whose families were taking drugs, dad was locked up, dad just died, grandma just died from COVID. It's like, I didn't do it necessarily on purpose to shut down my family, but they're good. Whatever my family needs, they're gonna get. I'll make sure of it. That's one thing at any point they're never gonna need because I'm gonna be too busy getting it for them already and being proactive, but anytime they need anything, I'm there for them. But that's the same energy I use for everyone. And that made me nervous that, am I being a bad father? So I would sit down, speak to my kids, speak to one of my mentors, and they said, if you don't do it, nobody else will. And that's when I was like, dang, I can't stop. So I just had to find balance. And when I found balance, it kind of made me, it put that energy back in me that I'm going to be a better father than when I had. And I love my father to death, but I just, like I said, I have to be the best. So I started finding that balance and it started working out better. And it didn't disallow me to continue to grow in my career and assisting others. So after that, in 2019, I was nominated for National Youth Advocate of the Year throughout the country. And they had to make individuals vote online for like a 2-week span. And all the other candidates were putting themselves on their local newspapers, Washington this, Chicago Tribune, all these other things. And I was like, oh man, I don't really care about this much. Because I'll be honest, I don't care about fame. I care about results. So people think that I'm joking, but I'm dead serious. I really hate anything involving fame. It's not me. I don't want to do it. I want to do it for the right reasons, and that's behind closed doors, everything. Let me be the background guy. I prefer doing that. And what ended up happening was there was like 18 different states that ended up voting, and they were voting for me. And I was looking at the numbers, and I was like, what is happening right now? And they gave you like this little story where they showed you a video of what I've been doing for over a decade with youth and communities. And we ended up winning. So when we won the award, they presented us with $10,000, and I got to get an award. I was supposed to get an award from Denzel Washington and some other people, and of course COVID took place a little after, so it delayed the process. But then like a Batman came, gave us the check and stuff. I didn't really care about Batman at that time. I cared about that money on that check. I was looking at the zeros and making sure they matched. But because everybody knew I was gonna use the money on. They were trying to make me use the money. I was gonna use the money on kids, no questions asked. So we scheduled something to do with kids to go visit colleges. And we visited colleges in Washington, D.C. Everything was paid for. It was Howard, it was American University, and Georgetown. So I chose my kids at the club, and we were excited. They were excited. They were going to have a free trip to visit colleges, go eat some good food, you know, just see a different state, because a lot of our kids in the cities, they don't travel past that inner city. So we end up going to do that, and everybody's like saying, oh, Mario, congratulations, thank you for using the money on this. I was like, the money was never gonna be used on me. I wanted to make sure I have total control so I can ensure that that money is gonna be used on kids and changing their lives. Experiences are big for me. So I believe that right now with this generation, you're a little different from when I was your age and I was in school. It comes down to we have to be more creative to make sure we grab your attention, but actually follow through and not kind of like set you up for failure or basically lie to you. I don't like liars and I don't like thieves. So that was one thing that I always focused on, to never be or connected to people like that. So that's why I'm so passionate about when we promise to do something for you, we do it by any means necessary. So we end up going to Washington. It was fun. I think Washington's more of a downgraded Boston, but I ain't gonna say nothing, you know what I'm saying? They were all looking at me funny when I was like looking at it, but it's cool. But we end up going to Washington, and it was an early morning. I apologize to them for that, but it was an early morning flight, but we got there, and we got to visit American University. They got to see American University. They got to see a different world. It was so fun. It was great. But one thing I want to teach you guys is that when you decide what you want to do, there's going to be some dark times. We end up going out there, and kids were having fun. Everything was good. We ended up finding our Airbnb. We end up getting the kids settled, letting them know they're going to be heading to Georgetown University and Howard the next day. The girls went to their rooms downstairs. The boys stayed upstairs, and they went to their rooms. And yeah, everything was good. We were making jokes, watching movies. And then everybody, I told them, hey, it's bedtime. Go to sleep. Call your family. Tell them you love them. Everybody goes to sleep. I wake up early. All right. I wake up early, and I go check the boys first, and I'm like, hey, y'all about to wake up? We about to turn up? Georgetown, Allen Iverson. I go crazy. I put not PJ Masks or something, but it was one of those Disney things, and I put the speakers up, everything to wake everybody up, turn the lights on, started saying, hey, everybody wake up, wake up. So the guys start waking up, but they were on their beds and other things like that, and there was a couple of kids one on the couch and one on the floor. And then, yeah, we're waking everybody up, everybody's moving, and then one person seems to kind of like not be responding and things. So I turn around, I'm like, hey, what's going on with Mylan? Everything good, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, yeah, he's good. I'm like, nah, he can't be sleeping this deep. So I'm trying to talk to him, like, Mylan, wake up. And I kind of like feel him. And then I say, go get his sister downstairs to see if this is normal, what's going on. So she ends up coming upstairs. Before she comes upstairs, I black out. And I remember, they told me I ripped his shirt, and I started doing CPR. So I'm doing the CPR. A police officer knocks me down, so I hit my head on the wall, and that's kind of how I get back into a position of seeing what's going on. And yeah, they tell me, oh, can you leave the room? We'll take care of it from here. They're going up the stairs in the Airbnb to work on him. And the door's open, and I'm just sitting in the kitchen looking at him and looking at them working on him. And she was apologizing because she had to literally push me into the wall because I wouldn't stop, she said. And yeah, she comes out the room and she starts shaking her head like this, and I was the first person to see it. I guess I told everybody to get out the room a little more aggressively than I should have, and they all went downstairs. And then we end up losing him. He ended up having a seizure overnight. So what I'm telling you this story for is because at that moment, I wanted to quit everything. I was in the darkest place in my life because I lost somebody's kid. And everybody's gonna say, yeah, it's not your fault. They didn't put that in the information, all this other stuff. We had multiple orientations. I'm not putting that on the parents or nothing like that. I'll take responsibility, but when you think you're doing something great and then this turns out to happen, you question everything. So at that point, Brockton was gonna lose me. Everybody's gonna lose me. I was like, nah, this ain't it for me. I don't wanna feel this way ever again. I felt like I failed, so I was gonna stop. And I had to be the person to make that phone call. That was the worst phone call I ever had to make. I had to call the mom and say, I'm not bringing your son back. So yeah, I was at the highest place in my life to the worst place in my life. And I had to make that decision at that moment. A few weeks passed by, I was just really in a bad place. I didn't want to be next to nobody. I didn't want to be next to family, kids. I just, everybody leave me alone. And I had to climb back up into that positive Mario who cares about everyone and other things like that. And it took a little while, but I ended up doing that because I convinced myself if I'm not there, could possibly things like this take place more, and now I can use this to make sure that this never happens to another child again. And I was just convincing myself that my value is more important than not being present to other kids who have not met me yet, and I can possibly, even if it's possibly, change their life. So, the goal was to come back stronger than ever. I became so crazy. I was like focused on everything. If I see you crossing the street, I'm like, nah, chill. We gotta look both ways 30 times. And I became like a psycho. I was like, oh my God, but I just didn't want anything to happen to kids. And I kind of started getting back to my old version and things like that. And currently we take the kids to Los Angeles, I don't know if you're familiar with the Drew League in LA. That's where all the NBA players play in the summer, and Venice Beach. And currently we take kids every year. I just finished taking them second year in a row, but last year was the first year, and I was petrified. And these are Division I college basketball players, top high school players in the nation, professionals, and I still was treating them like they were 10, 5 years old, and I'm watching over them because I wanted to make sure, like, I haven't taken people on a trip since then, and that incident happening. So I got offers to take kids here across the country and things like that, and I would always say no. I'm like, nah, I can't stomach it. But speaking to some family and other people like that, mentors, I did it, and it's the best trip that we could provide. We go to LA, we help the LA community, South Central. We go to the Drew League. They get to sit with NBA players, talk with them, get their phone numbers. And just recently this year, we got to go against the national Taiwan team that represents the country in FIBA as well as other things like that. Unfortunately, there was a hurricane and a 5.0 earthquake. But I'm not gonna lie to you, I was really happy for one reason: we would've got killed. Because when I brought people out there, I brought them out there based off of character. So some professional players and things like that, they come with egos. So they're like, I'm coming late to practice and other things like that. Not my program. If you do everything right, you get a free trip to LA. If you don't, we're not bringing you. So I brought a decent good amount of players, but the Taiwan team is the Taiwan team. They like where Dwight Howard plays and things like that, so it was a little different. So they end up canceling it at the LA Clippers practice facility, so we just got to chill. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown came after to train with the Taiwan team. They had like a drink deal going on with Venice Beach, but it was a fun experience nonetheless. But those things started teaching me, like, okay, things can go well, and if I didn't do these type of trips and opportunities for these basketball players and other things like that, then who would have done it? So I realized I have to keep creating things from scratch and building more circles. One of our guys was even asked to play in the Drew League next year. And there's not a lot of people they'll accept unless you're an NBA player. But one of our guys played for Portugal, and he got offered to be on a team next year for the Drew League. So my goal now is to raise money for 2 guys, because I never let you guys go alone. And my goal for the first time ever is to send people to LA, and it's gonna be all paid. Their apartment will be paid for, food per day will be paid for, and they're gonna be living in LA to represent us in the Drew. So I want to do that because I always tell people, after college, I get the NBA and all this other stuff, but there's different routes. And if I have to create a different one for you to have that experience, I'll do so. So that's going to be a good amount of money, but I'm going to get it. And they're going to have a life-changing experience. But that's all I'm about, life-changing experiences and being open-minded and understanding you are going to deal with issues. You're going to deal with people you feel like backstabbed you. You're going to deal with being underprepared. Get past that. Start thinking positive, because when I started thinking positive, I started getting energy back that was positive. Be selfless. Help others. You don't have to, I get it, but at the same time, when you start doing it, it becomes as natural as breathing. And then now you're impactful even when you're not in a room, and that is really big. And that's why if there's anything that I could teach you, it's really understanding helping others actually works, and energy is real. And with this being Founders Day and individuals having to create these opportunities so this school could exist now, it was them being selfless. It was them dealing with ridicule and people saying that it's not going to be successful, as well as other things like that. But look, you guys are all here now. And at any point, if you feel down and out, don't try to battle it yourself. Even if you have to talk to somebody for 15 seconds and you're over them already and go talk to somebody else for 15 seconds, do that, because your voice matters. And being consistently in the dark, you're going to end up staying there. And you're going to be hoping somebody pulls you out, but that's not realistic, because everybody's always worried about what they got going on. So I always suggest that if any of you guys listen to anything that I said, is just help others. Even when they don't ask, I know you're not getting $1 million for it, pat in the back. Get out of that mindset as well, because it should just feel good. It should just feel good. I always tell my son when I see him, like, hey, daddy ain't Michael Jordan or Kobe, but daddy got a national championship. And I told him that, guess what? It wasn't basketball like everybody programmed me to do, but it was something that meant something to me. I was the best person to work with kids in this country at that moment. 2019 is my year. And it was just like, being able to say that to my son, I hope I'm not gonna shove basketball, football down his throat and nothing like that. I'm gonna tell him whatever you wanna be good at, work hard, be consistent, and don't downgrade the experience just because you failed. Get back up and do a better job. So I just want to say thank you guys. I appreciate you so much. Yeah, you know I love you, bro. And I apologize because, I ain't usually soft like that. So nobody say nothing. That stays in this room. I got a reputation, you know what I mean? So I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mario. And now I have to do something really hard, follow him. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. We do have a couple more things we want to do. And Mario, thank you so much, because so much of what you spoke about is what we're about here. It's a different context, maybe a different experience, but it's about the same thing. I heard you talk about being in the background. That's the humility of our founders, the sisters. I heard you talking about being on a mission. That's what we're always encouraging people here to be, on a mission. It's not just about what you know and what you're good at in your intellectual studies. It's about being a good person and making the world a better place. And that emotional resiliency, climbing out of a very dark place, getting back up and continuing that mission. So thank you so much for that, really. Thank you. And before we bring up, we have a little panel we want to do, not going to be long, but before we do that, we're going to try to show a video clip, because we're going to try to bring it back to our founders, the sisters, a little bit about what they're doing and what they challenge us to go forward. And you're going to hear from a few members of your community, and we're going to eat ice cream. So if we can do that video clip.
The flare of God's love widens and intensifies and takes on brightness as all this spills over into the works of justice, into which we pour our humble efforts. Together, we are faithful to our corporate stands on behalf of the earth and against nuclear arms. We stand for unity and the dignity of each person, for peace and against racism and human trafficking, for immigrants, safe communities, just laws, health care, and education for all. We unite with Pope Francis and many religious communities, and many, many people who realize the goals of Laudato Si, responding to Earth, our home, and her creatures. We know that unifying love, serving the dear neighbor without distinction, demands this of us, the community of Joseph. We share an intrepid spirit that impels us to live the mission now.
150 years after our founding in Boston, on the edge of a new flaring. What graces will a new flare of unifying love carry for us all? To what newness will we all be invited? To what fidelity? To what deeper and wider awareness? To what spiritual deepening?
For what will we pray? What will we ask of one another? What will we dare? Where will our contemplation and discernment lead us?
Thank you. And now I'd like to invite our panelists to come to the stage. Let's see, who are they? Grace? Yeah, Grace Micklin. Aiden Charles, Zach Latifi, Bridget Boyer, Professor Neelafar, come on up. Mario, you're welcome to either stay there or join them if you want, just to kind of, prod them along. Come on up. Good. Well, welcome everybody, and I wanted to just start by giving you a chance to introduce yourselves, tell the community a little bit about who you are and what you do here. Grace, let's start way down in the end with you, and then about what you did this summer too.
Okay, of course. Hi, my name is Grace Micklin. I'm currently a sophomore in the nursing program. I'm involved with a lot of things on campus, like the honors program. I run track and field, along with Aiden, and just a bunch student nursing association too. And what he's talking about, over the summer, I got the opportunity, along with one of my fellow classmates, Cal, to travel to France with a bunch of other students. So basically, we're a college of the Sisters of St. Joseph, and there are a bunch of other colleges around the United States that are also from the Sisters of St. Joseph. So it was us two plus about like 15, 16 other kids who all traveled to Le Puy, France, and it was an amazing experience. We got to see the history of how Regis was founded. We got to climb this ridiculous amount of stairs up to Saint Michel and see the beautiful view, and we just met a lot of wonderful people, just learning everything about the sisters, meeting some amazing sisters themselves that are based in France as well. It was an amazing experience.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dan. My name is Nilufar Gholamrazai, and I'm an assistant professor of visual arts at Regis College. And I'm new to college, and I joined spring 2023, and this is my second semester I'm teaching. And it's been an honor for me to serve the Regis community, and we went to a mission trip in the spring to the Civil Rights Movement's program, and it's been a very wonderful experience serving the community and also the greater good. Thank you very much, Dan.
Thank you.
Hey guys, I'm Bridget. I'm a senior biomedical engineering major. I am the senator for commuters here on campus, also the treasurer for the Rec Therapy Club, Partners in Excellence mentor for first-gen students, peer tutor, honors program. Yeah, so it's really cool to be here today.
Hi guys, I'm Aiden Charles. I'm a junior here at Regis College. I'm a biomedical engineering major as well. I'm involved in numerous things around campus. I'm part of Res Life. I'm an RA over there at Domitilla Hall. I'm also vice president of the Haitian American Student Association. Also representing with Grace, part of the track team as well.
Excuse me, where are you from, Aiden?
The great city of Lowell, Massachusetts.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
My name is Zachariah Latifi. Most people call me Zach. I'm a captain of the men's basketball team here, as well as an orientation leader and president of the Student Athletic Advisory Committee. I'm a grad student that's in the MBA and sports communication programs.
Great. Thank you. And Mario, we know you. All right. So couple of easy questions for everybody. I'm not going to go up and down the panel, so if you want to say something, please feel free. What was today? Well, first of all, takeaways from Mario's talk. I'm going to let you think about that. It's the second question. Takeaways from his talk. In general, what was today like for you? What did you do, and what was today like for you?
I feel like we're going to end up going down the line anyways.
Probably gonna.
I did Kindness Rocks today, and I did it last year as well, and I chose to do it again because I am very passionate about mental health. Anybody that has gotten my probably a million emails I'm involved in another organization, The Hidden Opponent, which is involved in athletic mental health. So I took that as an opportunity to keep working on that. And then, of course, because that wrapped up a little early, I ended up finding myself at the SAC event. And I ended up working with the Children's Center as well a little bit, which was really cool. And, of course, doing some laps on the track. And I feel like I'll come back to his second question. I need to think on it a bit, so I'll leave it to the next one.
Oh, I go next.
Yeah.
Okay. So today I was coordinating the mural project site, and so we started thinking about the missions and values of Regis College and who we are as a community, and encourage the volunteer to think about some metaphors that can represent or symbolize our mission. When we think about love, hope, and so on, think about some kind of metaphors that can represent these ideas, to think kind of more figuratively and more like artistically. And so the mural project was even very fun, and for me, it was a very unique experience that all of us in one day started serving and volunteering. So it was very unifying, and as you mentioned, Dan, unioning love. I could really feel that there is one day that all of us together only focus on the missions and values of our community and only serve those missions. Only focus in one day, all of us together. Thanks.
So today I did the baking. So if any of you picked up any of those sweet treats from the tables, that lemon blueberry pound cake or the cookies, the brownies.
Oh, the cookies are great.
Yeah, they were delicious. So all of your donations were very much appreciated. Everything went to the Hospitality Center and the Dear Neighbor Fund. Do we have a number for that yet, Dan?
$1 million,
Amazing. Incredible.
or something like that.
Awesome. But yes, all of your donations very much appreciated. For those that do not know what the Hospitality Center is, if you're looking on the quad at St. Joe's, there's the double doors that lead you into the main building, and then there's that single door kind of on the left. If you ever need any like personal supplies, any food, clothes, school supplies, there's jackets in there, blankets. Go in there, take what you need, no questions asked. So all of your donations are going towards getting more resources for that room, and also for the Dear Neighbor, which helps to pay for things for students on campus that, you know, due to their personal financial situations might not otherwise have been able to afford those certain things. So very good job, guys. And I hope the goodies were good, so thanks.
I was out on the field with my other fellow SAC members. We were divided up amongst sports, and then on the field we were just in charge of just creating like little mini games. I know for sure with the track kids I was with, we created a little track circuit that the kids could really interact with, jumping and running, not over hurdles, but underneath the hurdles that we had placed. And it was really cool. It was really fun, and it was really cute seeing everybody interact with one another, and really just taking that time into really just forming a bond and a real connection with the youth, because the youth, they're what's next. That's the generation coming up after us. So even just giving them, I doubt that they'll really remember much of it because they're so young, but it was a really good time. And another thing, just to add on about the second question, Mario, what I picked up from your speech was something that really hit home, is that even though like being young, how you said, like you were mentioning, just passing like the letter around, and even know that you can be kind of deemed as sort of like a leader because you were taking that charge to do it for yourself, you still at the end of the day can be considered a follower, because at the end of the day you might be doing something that might be setting yourself apart. However, you're still only doing that for the validation of others. So it's really just comes to you. It's really up to just your intentions as a whole that truly makes you a leader or not.
I was also at the field with Aiden and he was at the track spot, I was at the basketball, and we had trash cans set up with like soccer balls, just whatever we could find, just having the kids throw the balls into the trash cans, something very simple, but I could tell that it meant a lot to like the kids and stuff like that, especially the ones that kind of came over and were a little bit shy, they didn't know if they want to participate, and just kind of give them that encouragement and that confidence to be able to try it, and just like, because you know, a lot of their peers are, and maybe they wanted to, but they're not saying anything about it, and just like those little things that when you grow up, those are huge for people's confidence, and just like something they can carry along with them throughout their life, just to try things that are new, even if they don't think they're going to be good at it, or they're scared of what other people think and whatever. So I think that what we provide at the field is just like great values of just trying to help these kids just discover who they are, like kind of we all do in college and stuff like that. So I had a great time just being able to provide that joy and be able to provide a good time for all these kids, and hopefully they had a good time. I think they did.
Yeah, and I remember, Zach, made me think of the time over the summertime, you were outside, I think being recorded for something, and there was some middle school guys on campus and they were on their basketball team, remember?
Yeah.
And I grabbed you and you spoke to these kids and they were talking to you like you were Kobe, like you were an NBA player. Remember that? You were asking about your shot percentages and all that stuff and their style of defense. So I do agree that those little things sometimes can make a really lasting impact in people's lives. So I want to go back to that other question about a takeaway from Mario's talk, or ask him a question directly or something you wanted clarified. And Mario, feel free to jump in on anything that they're talking about. So was there anything else that you wanted to mention to him?
Yeah, I definitely thought that one thing that I really took away from your speech, it was kind of towards the end when you were talking about how your voice is important. And I feel like that's just something that needs to be said again. It's very like something that needs to be emphasized, because I feel like even in a small college like this, sometimes it can feel like it's so easy to be drowned out. Like you have something you want to say, but it might not necessarily be being communicated the way you want it to be, or you're scared to say it, or you don't know exactly what route to make your voice heard. But I just think it's really important that I thought it was great. Your story was very inspiring of how you went out of your way to make sure that your voice was heard. You went above and beyond for those kids, and you went above and beyond to be the best at whatever it was. And I think that can be translated to so many more things, like whether it's something you're passionate about, like mental health, or whether you're passionate about your sport or anything like that. Taking that drive and willingness to like not take the excuse of like, oh, well, like, I don't know how to speak up. I don't know what to communicate with. Like taking that excuse out of the way and just putting yourself out there. And do you have any advice for anybody who might be thinking about like trying to like maybe start a club or maybe anything like that, but maybe not knowing like how to find that confidence?
Effort. So basically, doing as much research as possible, what you have access to. We decide when people speak what we take in and actually keep in the back of our mind when we're trying to implement what we're trying to do, or choose not to. And I think the best way to do that is to speak to as much people as possible that has some experience in that field, and then you know what would work and you know what wouldn't based off of where they're at right now. So a lot of times I give everybody the opportunity of doubt to have a dialogue and conversation, because you never know what you're gonna actually learn and what it could be connected to that you're trying to achieve in the future. So really just being open-minded, not feeling like you know more than others, or not be willing to let others speak who are not in a better position as you or somebody else that you know. Give all of them the benefit of the doubt, because I'm sure you're gonna learn something from each and every one of them, and adding those pieces together becomes your version.
Yeah. I think it's great just to be like making yourself bigger than something just you, making yourself part of something bigger. But yeah, that was great.
So I would like to, I can think about many things that stayed with me from your speech. And one thing was that the idea of like passion and thinking about like a career, something beyond just money, right? Passion and care for others and doing something that is good and it makes us feel good. And I really resonate with that. And thank you very much for kind of elaborating and really kind of talking about how your career, but also a passion is something way beyond like simply like job or making money. And one other thing I think I really like when you mentioned that there is this, we need this kind of balance of to be selfless and help others, but also we need to have a balance, make sure that we are also helping ourselves in order to be able to help others. So my question is like, can you like explain more whenever you were in a situation that you felt you also need kind of to be empowered in order to help others, like how you kind of reach out to others in order to like get help whenever you were in a bad
So one thing I was never taught, and I had to teach myself, is to be vulnerable, because like I said, the background we came from, it was just like, oh, man up, or you should be able to handle that. But I felt like that created a block from receiving more knowledge and more understanding of situations. So instead of just staying stagnant and not trying to reach my full potential, I realized the only way to do that is by moving aside and continuing to go on a road that I'm not accustomed to. So that's what's usually that holds people back, based off of just not being educated in that specific road that you're not accustomed to, because you were always on this one or this one. So now it's like you got to go jump on this side, build one, and then you have no idea what's going to be the next couple of steps. That openness is what made me realize that I had to speak to people and reach other people and become better mentally for myself, or I was doing a disservice for every person I encountered after that. So if I didn't get back to the version of myself that was energetic, creative, innovative to help others, then the version they were getting of me, it didn't make any sense. Like I said, I was doing a disservice, and I was probably putting them in a more difficult path for them to get to their goals. And I felt like that became selfish, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to make sure I got back to the best version of myself. So every time I encountered somebody, that's the conversation, that's the dialogue we're having. How can we better you in this situation if I'm not bettering myself? So it was kind of putting that responsibility on me that I have to get better, or this isn't something that I want to do in the future with my life, and I'm a people person. So it's like I would have been in a room and stuck in that room the whole time, because I didn't want to front. I didn't want to make it seem like, oh, I know this, I know that, or I can help you this, I can help that. But then in the back of my mind, I'm worried about all the problems and obstacles I have. I had to learn how to defeat that, get better, and be more open-minded that those things can come, but I'm always going to be prepared to basically face that obstacle in order to become stronger. And then now I encounter people who face similar obstacles or even other ones that are similar, and I can assist them. So,
Thank you.
For me, I actually related to something that you had said at the beginning when you said that like listening to people, you kind of just wanted to block people out, get in, do your own thing. That's exactly how I was when I first started college, I'm not gonna lie. Like my mentality was just go to school, get the degree, leave. Like that was my mentality, I'm not gonna lie. Obviously that is not how it played out. I'm now very involved in the community here. And I feel like what you said about just listening and being open to listening to people, that makes such a huge difference, especially where like us as a health science college, like we are predominantly a nursing school. In the healthcare field, I feel like there's a lot of times where patients don't always get heard about things that they feel are important to them and their bodies. And I feel as an engineer who's looking to continue my education after undergrad, I also want to be the best at what I do because I know that I will be able to bring certain things to the table that other people won't be able to, and that's totally fine. That's why we collaborate. That's why we work together. That's why healthcare is a field that's so diverse. There's so many things that go on in a hospital at one time. Patients see so many different people in a day. So I feel like that really resonated with me on a personal level because you really do have to listen to people, especially, like I said, in this industry, in the healthcare industry. So many cases go overlooked. So many people go undiagnosed for so long when really they could have just been diagnosed if somebody just listened to them. So listening, definitely, that was a big resonance with me, and just same thing, trying to be the best that I can be at what I do because I know I am going to be the only one to be able to help these people. Well, not the only one, but you know what I mean. In the way that I know how to do it the best. So I have a certain skill set, my lab partner has a certain skill set, and together we make, you know, people's lives better. We give them their lives back. And I feel like that's a huge thing that Regis does. And I feel like we don't always realize that, but we are a community of healers. And that is such a huge thing. Being so young, like in our 20s, we are, you know, going to clinicals, we're changing lives every day that we're out there. And especially once we graduate, immediately change. We are helping people get better, giving them their lives back, giving their bodily autonomy back. So yeah, that's a big thing that I took away.
One of the things that resonated with me, you were talking about how you kind of just labeled as like a sports player, like that was going to be like your way out. And to me, it was like I felt like I came here as just a basketball player. I wanted to come here kind of opposite of what she said about getting a degree and getting out. Like I wanted to come here, play basketball, and like that was it. I didn't really care about coming to school, quite frankly. I didn't really understand anything about the community. I didn't know any of it. And if I had kept that mentality, I don't think I would have been half the man that I am today. And understanding the, you know, like the weight that this community holds on the growth of oneself, I think that you kind of have to see that as an opportunity and really understand and immerse yourself into everything that, you know, this campus has to offer. And obviously I'm forever grateful for that because no matter what, you know, everyone wants to further themselves, obviously. But I don't think I could have furthered myself just by staying in the gym playing basketball. I think kind of helping other people out, whether it be my friends or other people like the faculty, the community, whatever, whoever it was, I think that helped me further myself more than anything I could have done individually. Because I never really felt like I had anyone that, like had my back before I came here. And whether it be like, Dan's been a, huge influence on me, whether he knows it or not. But it's like, just like little things, like a little conversation here or there. I felt like I kind of just leaned back like a pillow into the community, and my mental health, we got a lot better from that, just because I didn't feel like I was only here for one purpose. I felt like I was, stretching out the potential that I always knew I had as a human being. Coming here, talking about vulnerability, I was never like that, never wanted to open up, just kind of if I had problems or something happened to me or whatever, I kind of just kept it in, never talked about it. So I kind of found a lot of that in your speech, and I really liked that because I felt like that really was like, I had a version of that myself. So again, yeah, just like helping other people, it just does so much for you mentally, physically, and it just makes you feel like your purpose is being served. And I think that without, being here, I don't want to know where I would have been mentally, physically. I don't want to know, but that's just, I appreciated everything you said, because it kind of brings everything back into a bigger picture, and again, something bigger than ourselves. So thank you.
So I have one last question for all of you, and this is kind of a big one, but it's a good one. So we heard Mario. We had a great day of service together. We heard Mario. We saw a little clip of the sisters. The sisters, the video clip that we showed was them living into the future, what they're still doing, what they still care about, and how their influence, their charism, their spirit lives on in us. So my question to all of you, Mario, you too, how does what we do today, what we're talking about, what we saw, how will you live that going forward? How will you and us live that going forward to make the world better? Aiden.
Well, I feel like it's written almost set in stone in what we have here at Regis, because it's one of the core values here at Regis College is care for thy neighbor. And I feel like what we're doing for Founders Day is really just that, just with 3 different exclamation points right after it. and especially when it comes to, I know last year I went to a food shelter, and I know that it was a predominantly Haitian food center, and just connecting with those people, and with those people that I can connect to and relate to with ethnically as well, and just caring for those people, because I feel like the world won't see no extreme monumental change unless if we really start working at really the ground level. We have to work from the ground up in order to see any monumental change in any sort of near future. And I believe so that the best way to do it is within our schools. Once we get it through schools, then we'll be able to make steady movements and steady improvements. And once those improvements, they can also reach out to other schools as well. And then that's when we start building a crazy community between multiple schools. And then once a lot of schools come together, then I'll get a lot of local government attention, then government attention, and then next thing you know, you got a whole movement on your hands. Stuff like that. See stuff like that is what it's all about. And truly, I'm glad that Regis has those core values, because honestly, before coming here, I wasn't aware at all. But I am glad that I've been added into this community and just been allowed to just perform and just include the way how I would like to spread those values and share with the Regis community.
What you said, I feel like if Kristen Barrett was up here, she would tell you every single one of the core values. She knows them all. But I feel like even taking that, I feel like a lot of times a big thing that I've always heard is advocacy. The sisters do a great job at advocating, but I feel like it's even taking it that one step further, because from like what I've been learning about, again, I've mentioned that I'm very passionate about mental health, like to take it even further than that advocacy and take it to education. Not just advocating and understanding that like, yes, this is a problem. This is what we need to do. Taking it to like learning what those differences are in that problem, learning what maybe the challenges are, like taking it that one step forward past what you already know and what you're already passionate about. And I think that just plays right into those values of just like caring for the dear neighbor, just like at that deeper level. Like you care for the neighbor and you also learn about that neighbor. You learn their struggle because you might not understand it completely. It might be something that you think you know, but you might not know it to that extent. And there's always more education that can be done to that, which is what I will continue to do because I want to just keep expanding that knowledge past what you learn in the classroom, past what you learn on the flyers that you see, past what other people are just telling you from hearsay, like you're learning it for yourself. And I think that just educating your peers, educating yourself is the best thing that you can do to learn.
Right, thank you.
I can go on. So I kind of want to kind of build on both of the points that you both made. One is that in the reflection time, we talked about like, ask students like what you study, what's your field of study, and how you think you can carry this mission. So it was very interesting to hear that like in a university, in a college, we all have different education background or paths to go, and there are different ways that we can carry these missions or like serve the dear neighbor, right? And each of us, we can use our education background to have a very unique way to serve, to carry this mission. So I think it's very important to kind of think about the relation between the missions and values to what we are studying or what you're learning at Regis College. And one other thing I would like to add is that how it's very important to think about these values in a personal level, but also as a community, there is a more power in terms of pushing these values forward. So I think this like more collective way of working together to carrying the missions, I think is a very powerful thing that we done today.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I feel like a big thing about Founders Day is obviously our service, but looking at all of the projects that we do, we go to so many sites, both on and off campus, and I feel like that gives us just a small taste of what the community needs, not just in our own neighborhood, but across the country. There's so many places that need people all the time, and it's so awesome that we, as a huge community, get to go out to all these different places all the time. Like every year we do this. So it's really great that we're able to help so many people on one day. I think it's absolutely incredible. And I feel like if the sisters, the original sisters that founded the college, if they're looking at us now, they're definitely smiling. They're definitely very proud. So I feel like, you know, like we've said, care for thy dear neighbor, that's such a huge thing. And I feel like, especially now, the world is such a crazy place, and we definitely need to look out for each other now more than ever. Having compassion for people and situations and just being there for one another is so crucial all the time. So I feel like, yeah, Founders Day is definitely my favorite day of the whole semester. Not just this semester, but the year. So yeah, Founders Day, definitely my favorite.
I would say for, you know, what Founders Day means to me is just like, when you think about, you know, the day as a whole, and you ask, like, let's say friends from outside of the school, they'd be like, oh, you're gonna waste the whole day doing this or that, but it's like, they don't really get the gravity of the whole, you know, the day. It's like, there's so much more than just what, you know, your day is like. It's about the effect that you have on the people that you're working for and the people that you're doing all these things for. And if they walk out of it happy, or they feel better about their situation, or they, you know, feel better than when you got there, then that's what it's about. It's not about, you missing out on extra sleep. It's not about you, not getting to do what you wanted to that day or whatever. None of this is about us as individuals. It's about everyone and whoever we can help and how many people we can help. And that's just kind of a model for like, you know, I hope, you know, everyone's life. At least for me and my friends, it's like I'll do anything. I would die for any of my friends. Just because, not even because I know they would do it for me, but still I know they would do it for me. But I feel like as, you know, as individuals, our souls just get nourished by the ability to step up and provide anything we can for the people that maybe have less than us or the people that need something in those moments. And like, you know, those things will always come back to you, even though I know I would never ask for those things back.
I would say strategically passing the message. Working with kids for almost 20 years now, I see that generations change probably like every 5 years. And a lot of times intimidation is a factor why individuals don't want to take that message, because they're uneducated with the background of it or the terms being used or the phrases. So just evolving with the times to strategically pass that message on to different people with different backgrounds, different age groups, and the message will evolve and it will become stronger. I think strength in numbers is a quote that I believe is true and 100% true, and it tends to pass on without the person who knows about it to go look for other individuals to join. They eventually don't have to. If you see these kids nowadays, a lot of times they don't like being the outsider. They see a huge number of people that are around their circle that are doing things and they're asking themselves, why am I not? Or eventually they're not around that circle because everybody's doing the things that they don't love. And I feel like those individuals are the ones who are left in the back burner because no one took the time to basically teach them what those other individuals know. They just need a different form of the deliverance of it. So I think that when you pass these messages along that the sisters are talking about, there just has to be different versions of it so it can connect with more students, more kids, and make them feel more comfortable taking it in. So.
Yeah, perfect. Well, thank you, panelists. You can stay right there. We're going to give the last word to President Hayes to say thank you, and then I imagine that Mario will be hanging around if anybody wanted to meet him and say hello as well. So, President Hayes.
Well, if you thought you had a hard act to follow, I have to say that what I have to say here is it's minimalist. What I will say, though, is this is the best job I've ever had in my life. And it's because of you and you. I sat there listening to you, and you inspired me more than I don't think I've been inspired in a number of years. And I thank you for that, Mario, but all of the rest of you. And watching all of you today take the spirit of the sisters the way you did and lived it as your spirit, which is what is our job to do today, is to begin to know that it is now our mission, our spirit. My heart is full of gratitude to each one of you. I have to tell you that I started the day talking about courage. Courage. That's what I heard from you today, Mario, and all of you. And we know that that is why and how the sisters did what they did. To come to the United States, open up a school in Boston with hundreds of children who are Irish immigrants that had no place to go to school. They had no money, they had nothing, they didn't know where they were going to live. They came over the ocean first and then up from Mississippi. Talk about courage. And then they had no money to buy Regis College. How did that happen? Talk about courage. I am so grateful that we continue to know and understand the importance of the dear neighbor. But that dear neighbor is you. That dear neighbor is me. That dear neighbor is you and the people sitting beside you, in front of you, and behind you. So I would say to all of you the importance of, and by the way, I'm ripping up my script too. The important part of today is to recognize not only why it's important to take care of and show love for the dear neighbor, but show love for yourself. You do need to take the time to fill yourself up. And what I heard today is a way that we fill ourselves up is by giving. Isn't that amazing? Because we are filled when we give, when we care for the dear neighbor. So keep it going. Keep that courage coming. I love you all, and it truly is the best job I've ever had in my life. Thank you.